Hey, for your reading today, I'll be using the Intuitive Tarot straight up. I'm feeling more of a connection to it, I think, because of its intention with the connection of the subconscious, connection to the subconscious. We have very occurring themes in these readings, which I deeply appreciate. I love how orderly they come out. I've spoken on this before. I haven't seen other readers experience this, but I guess it can only happen if you do it often enough, where you shuffle and recurring messages come out. Wow, the way that fell out was very powerful. Oh my God. So the opening energy is the Five of Cups, which I think appeared in, I can never tell, but it appeared in a reading I did very, very recently. And then we have the Fool. Very tense energy to show up, especially at this time, April 2026. Then we had the Lovers and the Wheel, and the way these two cards fell out was very impactful as I observed them. So with the Lovers, you'd assume that the implication here is something to do with the romantic connection, relational connection. But what I'm receiving here is how it goes deeper than that, and the psychological tugs that we get through close relationships, where a person will remind you of your father, a friend will mimic the behavior of your mother, another will mimic the behavior of your uncle, or someone who is very close to you, your sister, something like that. So I'm getting a lot of that being triggered right now. And I'm getting that I think the reason for that might be that in a lot of relationships, there has been, up till now, maybe unspoken grief accumulating. The elephant in the room has been crying very loudly, and it's like what I'm receiving is a cycle of the elephant crying in the room over and over again until someone is either brave enough or triggered enough to address it. And it seems as though that difference between empowerment and disempowerment, being triggered versus being brave and vulnerable, or transmuting that energy of being triggered into being brave and vulnerable, is what's being triggered in general, collectively, for all of us. Beneath that, we have the Four of Cups, which I also think points to the projection point that we're all behaving from. I don't think a lot of people are like fully happy right now. Even if people are experiencing some kind of external joy where good things are happening, it doesn't seem like anyone is fully tapped into that joy or to the experience of it. It seems like we're all sitting in this lull somehow. And I think that largely has to do with the ways that we are being triggered in our sovereignty. This energy to me also points towards something of a codependency. And with the presence of these two together and the wheel, it's our opportunity now collectively to heal all wounds involving codependency. Stop taking people's actions as a personal reflection of how they feel or what they think about you. A lot of the times, especially right now, with all of the shit that's being cooked up inside of us to heal through, what you're seeing is a reflection of that person's internal unprocessed grief. And so your question should only be, do you have enough love in your heart to hold empathy, understand, and from that love or lack thereof, what are you going to do? What will you choose to do after a person has withdrawn from you and is no longer talking to you in the way that they do, or maybe their tone is off, or they treat you in a very specific poor way versus the way that they treat other people? You know what I mean? Or yeah, people's internal projections, they just come out. You know what I mean? What are you going to do with that? You can do whatever you want. That's also the point. You can do whatever you want. You can choose to hold empathy for that person, for the other, hold empathy for what that person may be reflecting back to you, hold forgiveness, and be present for whatever these things are, whatever emotions are coming up from this mistreatment or from this conflict. Or you could choose to remove yourself entirely because you do have the right and autonomy to do so. And you could say, this connection has reached its peak and I no longer feel productive or safe in it. So I'm not going to try to be present with it any further and I will choose myself. This is a card that can represent that, especially in this deck. A card of choosing yourself in the face of blending into the other. I think that's what we're all facing right now. Be aware when you make that decision to blend into the other, hold empathy, understand the other person. You are choosing to hold empathy and understand their sadness, which becomes yours in a way as well, because of your agreement to care for them that much. There's a lot to consider in the relating factor, relating to others. But what's important, it seems here, is how to balance that with relating to yourself and more specifically with relating to the universe, to your journey according to the universe's eyes. Because each of our journeys are very, 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 very different. And when it comes to relationship, we tend to make this mistake of thinking that that you can merge paths, which you can, but can also be very dangerous if your path is very special and specific to your assignment. Like, imagine a generational curse breaker coming on earth and thinking they can merge paths with any fucking body. You're breaking a curse, babe. You're here to break a curse. You can't just do that. And vice versa. Imagine you're trying to connect with someone who's a curse breaker. Their path is to break curses. Now you want to merge with somebody who's here to break curses. Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? But also, I believe that a lot of these connections are written. And it so happens that one curse breaker will have all of the tools that they gathered for themselves that will be very useful for another curse breaker who happens to be doing the same thing. There's also a lot of that happening right now, a lot of mergings of people's in people's lives because of what each of their energetic imprints are here to do. So in that very same breath, try not to logically understand things too much right now. With the presence of these two, there's nothing about your thinking that's going to be helpful. It seems what will be most helpful is tears, crying as often as you can, and addressing this feeling of apathy that may be hovering around you, because that is highly likely for a lot of us. It needs to be cried through, felt through all the way, and be really, really real. Try to release control. Try to put yourself in more feeling situations where you ask yourself, where you face the fact that you're not in control. And now that you're not in control, what are you going to do? You know? What are you going to do? I'm going to leave it at that. This is very intense energy. And I mean, as it should be, I guess. It's an intense period for our souls. So, all in this together. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next reading.